Hello friends and welcome to my channel. Today using React we're gonna make a double input bar uh, for selecting values. We're gonna build this as a reusable component and yeah, let's dive into it. Okay, we're gonna use Visual Studio Code and we're gonna create our app, React application, type npx create React app and the name of your application, let's call it app. So this will build our application. Okay, the command has finished, so we cd into app and we type npm run start. Give it a minute to load. So it's working. Let's go to the source folder. We have some useless files here, but yeah, we don't care about those. We will go to the source. We'll create a folder named components. Inside of components, we're gonna make our component not as a file, but as a folder. We're going to make it double scroll bar. So inside this folder, we're gonna create our JSX component, like double scroll bar.jsx, and because we're gonna have some CSS into it, we're gonna make a file double scroll bar.css. Okay, inside of double scroll bar.jsx, type rafc to create instantly this. So we're going to remove all of these and import our CSS. Import from the same folder double scroll bar.css. Okay, we're gonna return something. Yes, okay, worked here, and we in the app.js gonna remove all of this, and we are going to put our component here. So we type double scroll bar and enter, and it will automatically import it from our folder. Yes, remove the logo, it's fine. So reload, and it's working. So we go to our component now. So the general idea is to have one input and one other input at exactly the same level, so it seems like one, and the middle part will be with color, so it seems like it's selected. So yes, the input 1 and the second input, and we're gonna make this div with class of range slide. Okay, inside of this you have a span element with class of range selected. Those divs we're gonna make those in group them in a separate div called inputs, range input, and yes. So we need the input type to be range for both of those. Okay, in our CSS file, let's make those side by side. Okay, in our CSS file, we are going to paste this code. So what this code does, it selects our range slider element, gives it a height. So you see it here. It's a little hard to see, but it takes all of the screen. If I set the background color to black, you will see yes. So it is taking now all of the screen, and this blue section is our range selected span. For the span element, we have height 100%, left and right. These are not going to be here because if we change this, for example, 30%, it's going to be 30% of the left side. So yes, it's going to be closer. Okay, so we remove later this. Position absolute, border radius 5 pixels just to make it more smooth. Moving on to our inputs. So for our two inputs, we paste this code. So what this code does, it selects our two inputs inside of our class here. Set it position absolute, width 100%, height 5 pixels, just to be seen here. It takes all of the width, and we have a height. Let's make it a little bit more visible. Okay, let's put margin top just to okay, I guess it's a little bit better. Top minus 4 pixel. If we remove this and make it 0, it's just for it to go to the for a good position. Minus 7 pixel is kind of better. So without the WebKit appearance, if we remove this, you're going to see that the whole blue section is not removed from the input. For example, if you go and add one input of type range, you will see that by default this blue area is there. With this command, WebKit appearance none, we remove this from this. So this blue section is just our range selected span defined above. Next, we are going to paste this code. What this code does, as you can see, it makes this. So we select our inputs, WebKit slider thumb of our inputs, and this is the dot that it's draggable. We set a height 20 pixels width, so just to see it better, if I change this 40 pixel, it's this element here, so 20 pixels. With height, so it make a round, border radius 50% to make it round. Border, we define the blue border just to visualize better. Background color white, pointer events auto, WebKit appearance none, just to remove all the default styles. So we have our two inputs stacked one in each other, and our slider here. Let's remove this range element just to have those two only. Okay, so we are done with CSS. So first things first, we are going to pass a props default here, because if we need to pass some arguments like extra classes or something, this other or a name, like build name or n, not to be confused. If we save this and we check what is inside of here, okay, let's just console log props. Okay. If we save and go to our developer tools, we are going to see an object. Here it's our class, it's this input here, class and name of n. So whatever we pass it here as an argument, it's on props. That's really useful for customizing our component. So let's move this console log here, and we need two states to define our values. If we drag and drop this input, it will be a certain value. So we need to store this value in a state of React. So we will create two states, one for each other. So we call it use state. Import the use state from React here, and const. We're gonna make it named input from for the first input, and input and set input from. Okay, as the default value of the input field, we're gonna make our props dot mean value. So we're gonna set here a mean value. Let's move those, and we have minimum value of let's say 0, and the maximum value of 10. Why not? And a step we want to have of 0.1. Okay, let's save it. So with props min, we set this input to be 0. We made exactly the same for the max. We're gonna name it input 2. Input 2 here. So okay. Let's define also that the default positions of the inputs to be one on each side. So default value is going to be props dot min for the first and max for the second. Yeah, we have also to define that the max and the minimum is going to be like those max and minimum, and the step we provide it here. So min equals to props min, and max. Okay, and the step to step. Okay, and we're gonna copy paste this exactly as it is on the second input. So we see that if we reload, they always start from the its side. Okay, so now we need, whenever we change this input element, this variable is to be changed with this change. So with this input we say on change. We gonna call a function. It's element and set input from element. So we have to select the value of the input. This we will do this on change calls a function. This is the event dot target. It returns our element, so the input in this case, and we have to get the value. So this function, whenever we change this input, it will be updating the input form from the input form. Exactly the same on the second. We change the input from top from input 2. Save. Okay. So we have those values dynamically change whenever we change those. Now, based on these values, we have to change the width and the width of this selected span. So, in order to do this, we define a use effect. Here. Okay. What are all of these? Okay. Just a use effect. We pass a function, and here are all the elements that if those elements change, it will trigger this function. So we have to include the use effect here. Wait. Yes, okay. And pass inside the input from input 2 and let's say props 2. If we dynamically for some reason change this props, we want to just recalculate this. It's optional though. So for now we have to select our range selected, and no, we have to think about what we're going to do with the output of the input. So we have to define a display. Let's define a display element here, just to store the output of our component. Let's make it a div. Note here like this. Let's give it a class of display 1, and now we have to have here this. Okay, and we pass as an extra pop for ID display 1. So what is this going to do? This is going to target, not class, ID. This element, it's going to be targeting this the div with the ID of display we have specified here. So whenever this function is calculating, it's going to change this output value there, so we are able to see it. So let's select this display element, display some document get element by ID, and we can't say it. Props dot for the ID, and yeah, we have targeted this display element. Let's make let's see the result. So let's call it display dot inner HTML equals to something random. Let's say 10. Okay, select by ID. Or ID, what? Cannot set properties of null. Set, so it can't this for ID display one. We have to save this. Okay. So this 10 it's showing here, so it's working. Let's put some real values there. So for not if, okay, display inner HTML equals to dynamic string, because we need from to range. Okay, input from input to. Let's put it here. Okay, and we see updating in real time. Wow. Okay, it will change this, it will change that. But if we take the maximum and we pass it here, we see that this is not a good result. So we have to fix this. So we can just simply check if this is greater than the other, if the from is greater than the two, to render them differently. Okay, and else. Okay, so we say if the from the minimum value is greater than the two value, just we have to switch those just to be sorted in one sense. So we see here, if we pass this, it will change the maximum. So yeah, it's good. Now we need to update the slider bar. So we have to select it, this, but first, before we select it, just to, because this is a really generic, because if we have a lot of components, this the range selected, it will be for all of those, it will generate. So we have to make it unique for the component. So we have to make an ID here of let's make it a dynamic string. We can use the props for ID argument because it will be probably unique. So to solve this issue for ID, okay, and let's put it slider. So for example, for this component here, this ID, it will be slider slash display one. For another component, if we duplicated that with a different for ID argument, this will be the slider display 2, for example. So it will be unique. Okay, so we can select by that ID. Okay, exactly like this. So let's call it slider here. Okay, and here let's fix the right and the length. Okay, slider dot style dot right equals to, nope. Let's place a dynamic string, and we have to make this as a percentage of the bar. So if we, for the right part, it will be like 100% minus the maximum value of all. Okay, let's just do it. Okay, input 2 divided by the whole length. So props dot max minus props dot min, and this. So this will be the, I hope, the percentage we want. But yes, here this two. Okay, let's save this and why not? And it's working. Nice. What? Let's explain a bit more what I did here. Just checking if this is greater than the other, and if it is, we display it in the output div we have, and we updating the right property of the slider element and the left property. So we define basically the width of it. So the right property is 100% minus the percentage of the maximum, of the max value. So input from in this case divided by the whole width multiplied by 100. Okay, and exactly the same for the other, but without the 100 minus, because it's straightforward. Okay, but there is also a little problem. If we call this minimum value and we set it to 2 and we save, we see that, yeah, it's working, but there is a problem. It's shifted because we have not included the minimum in this percentage. So the solution to this is just to remove the minimum value. Okay, in every calculation. Minimum value, yes. Save it, and it's working fine. Okay, and let's test this, how reusable this component is right, because I like the result. I don't know. So let's copy paste it right here. We make it to 100 with a step of 1. Let's call the display second display here. Save, and we have our second, and everything is working fine. We don't have any interference with the ID element or something. It's all working okay. So yeah, that was the video. I like it if you like the video. I'm sorry not explaining so straightforward. If I confused, I'm so sorry. But yeah, the code it will be in the description. And bye bye.